What do you think happened? Because things aren't adding up.
There's a thing that was been going on, and I just assumed she was over with that guy, and that's what she'd done before.
Well, where was everybody in this span of time? That piece was very, very bizarre.
Do you think she died that night?
I think so.
The Forgotten, a True Crime Arizona podcast.
Long before her disappearance, Edison Sorrel told her siblings about this guy she met.
When did she meet Edison? Do you remember?
So she met Edison. She had been home for a while. She had gone to college a couple of years and then came home to take care of my parents. And she used to work in the Chinle School District. So she worked as a resource secretary in the schools there, and then it was around that time that she met Edison. And he had lived in Navajo, New Mexico at the time, and so they had known each other for a while. They used to do a lot of fishing. He'd go out and hunt and was really outdoorsy.
Laverta's sister, Valina, met him on an outdoor fishing trip, but it wasn't all roses and butterflies to her.
Did you like him?
No. He was very macho, and I did not like that about him, and I sensed that with him the first couple of times that I met him.
Valina was in college when her sister and Edison decided to get married because their family was about to grow.
She had become pregnant with Tiffany at that time. That was the purpose of them getting married.
The couple would go on to have 2 boys after Tiffany, making their family of 5 complete. As the kids started to get older, Valina sensed trouble in paradise, and it seemed her intuitions were right.
He didn't really care about her feelings or didn't do anything special for her. And she was really loving in that way, so I don't think he reciprocated that with her. And so she started to feel, from our conversations, a little lonely. And just really unhappy.
Do you believe that's what led to her having an affair?
Yeah. And they had had a traditional wedding, a Navajo wedding. And so my older brother had talked to her and told her, because of the way that they were brought together in that union, culturally she would have to go and explain to my parents what was happening and what she had wanted to do. And so she told my parents.
Yeah.
She announced that she wanted a divorce.
Her affair was known among their family. They all wanted her to be happy and supported the divorce. Valina thought it would be a good thing for everyone. And then, Laverta disappeared. For days after she went missing, Valina would call her sister's home, hoping by some miracle she'd show back up and answer the phone, the comfort of her voice on the other line. Each day, nobody picked up, until a few days later, somebody finally did.
When I called her home and Edison answered the phone, and my immediate reaction to him answering was, "What did you do? What did you do to her?" And I don't know, that just came out. And then he hung up the phone.
It was difficult enough for Tiffany and her 2 brothers to grow up without their mom, but even harder to have 0 answers as to why or where she went.
So I always kind of thought, in a few years, we'll find out what happened.
That day never came, but a major shift did when Tiffany and her brother got older.
And it wasn't until probably I got to college maybe that me and my younger brother Nick started to really have conversations and kind of start talking about, what do you think happened? Because things aren't adding up. And that's when we kind of started to think that something else happened than her just getting dropped off or just leaving. Something else happened.
We know Edison told police he dropped his wife off at the Fort Defiance School District that summer night around 11:30 p.m. and told investigators he assumed she was meeting the man with whom she was having an affair.
Or what changed for you from what you were told or believed when you were a kid to what you actually believed when you were an adult?
Well, it was that key piece of when nobody was home, when we got home. That for me was just so, it just still sticks out to me today. It's like, well, where was everybody in this span of time? That piece was very, very bizarre. What we kind of came to conclusion was that there was an argument probably, and it just really escalated from there. I think that's at least how it started.
So do you think your dad has a part in your mom's disappearance?
The way I think about it is, if something doesn't make sense, it's probably not true. And so in this narrative that he's sharing about dropping her off, it just didn't make any sense. It still doesn't explain why he didn't help in the investigation. So if your children's mom, even if she was an alcoholic like he said, or not having good friends like he said, and maybe somebody else picked her up, then why wouldn't you still want to at least know where the mother of your children are? It seemed like he just wanted to move forward. He didn't seem like he cared to, it was kind of like she didn't exist anymore. She just was gone, and that was it. What makes the most sense in this situation is that he was the last one to see her, and he didn't participate in the investigation. Those are the facts that we have.
Until now, you've heard from Edison Sorrel talking about the night his wife went missing and the bizarre circumstances in which he said she left. After my interviews with Tiffany and Valina, I knew I had to ask Edison about everything, including their accusations and beliefs. To my surprise, he had a lot to say.
You dropped her off at the school district that night, correct?
Yeah.
Did you think it was weird that she was asking to go to the school district, or weird that you were dropping her off at night since things don't go on at school at night?
Well, she's done that before. I mean, we've done that before. She goes to the office, and she has the keys to and stuff. She goes in there and she makes a call to him, and I guess she comes over and he picks her up and he leaves. And I mean, she's done that before. This was an ongoing thing for a whole year, and she was leaving for months at a time, wanting to come back, and she comes back. Then she leaves again, and she comes back. So it was kind of a routine thing. So when she left that night, you know, I didn't think of anything, you know, because she's done that before.
That night that Laverta disappeared, though, you guys had gone to an anniversary dinner, right?
Yeah, we went and ate that night, and we came back. And I guess, I don't know, she had made plans with that guy to meet up with him somewhere or whatever. And she kept wanting to leave, and then I just kept telling her, wait till the morning, you know. I said, I can drop you off in the morning. And she said, no, I got to go right now and stuff. And I let her go that day, that night. You know, the guy that she was with, she had really high hopes of him. He was on a high pedestal, but he was also seeing other girls around town, not only her.
The authorities have cleared him in the case. What's your reaction to that?
I don't know, you know.
Did you take a lie detector or a polygraph test?
No, I don't want to. I got advice from the lawyer and what you could write. They said right now there's really no evidence or whatever, and it's like the FBI is just kind of throwing stuff in the dark or seeing it go stick. The FBI are pressured by her side of the family to provide, you know, to solve this thing. So they will basically, they probably tap my phone, they probably tap my house, and hoping that they get some kind of information. But
don't you want this solved too? I mean, it is your ex-wife.
I know, I like to, I still hope she's out there, hoping she'll come back. People were telling me, well, how come you didn't get all panic? I said, because there's a thing that was been going on, and I just assumed she was over with that guy, and that's what she's done before.
Can I very simply ask you point blank if you were involved in her disappearance, yes or no?
No, I wasn't involved in it. I had nothing to do with it. Like I said, I cooperated with the police.
That was a lot to process. For one thing, I was impressed with how open and transparent Edison was when I asked him those questions. He is adamant he is not involved in his wife's disappearance. In 2021, Tiffany wrote her dad a letter. She never intended to send it to him. It was just to help her heal. But eventually, she decided to call him and tell him what she wrote about.
I told him that I was going to get more involved with the MMIW, and that I know that he loved me, and I know that he was hurt by her affair, and that I know that it was hard for him. But I said, I also think that essentially that something happened that night, that you had pretty much, I told him that I think you had something to do with it. But essentially, I'm gonna be involved in this movement now moving forward, and there's gonna be things that are said about you, essentially. And I just wanted you to know that I'm gonna be doing that. After that, he did send me a text message saying that this is goodbye with all the things that you said to me, and I'll let my family know that they don't have to contact you if something happens to me. And that's what he texted me. And so I just kind of thought, okay, well, I guess this is gonna be a broken relationship. So it is complicated, but I do still see him at family events, and I'm still involved with my dad's side as much as I can be.
I mean, how difficult is it to believe your dad may have been involved in your mom's disappearance, be upset about that, but then still try to carry on a relationship? I mean, that's a really tough position to be in.
Well, I feel like karma happens. That, to be honest, I feel like he is kind of struggling right now. He has a couple of younger children still, even though he's over 65, and I know that he is really struggling to continue to pay bills and things like that, and this is a time that at this age I feel like you're supposed to be retired and enjoying life, and he's just been working, and I feel like it's kind of karma comes back around, and to be honest, it doesn't seem like he's all that happy. I mean, how happy can you be when essentially you don't have a very good relationship with your kids?
Is it hard for you to know that your own daughter believes you were involved? I mean, she was pretty emotional talking about it with me.
Well, it's up to her. She's gotten together with that family over there, and I'm pretty sure they told her a lot of stuff, and she was here, and she knows I was here that night when she left. I don't care about my kids. I still love them. I don't care, what they say or what they do. If they feel that way, that's fine. I still care about them. They're still welcome here into my home.
In 2023, Tiffany and Valina are firm in what they believe, even if it's heartbreaking.
Do you think your mom is alive now?
I don't think she would go this long without reaching out to her family, her children. There's no way that she would be alive and not be here in some capacity. I don't think that she's with us.
Do you think she died that night?
I think so.
What do you believe happened to your sister?
I think she was murdered.
Do you think your sister's case will be solved?
I do. Something's gonna give, something's gonna break open pretty soon. I just feel like we're almost there.
Jamie Yazzie's case is finally getting the attention it deserves, but not without hardship still facing her family every single day. Jamie Yazzie went missing in 2019. Her body was found in 2021, and yet years later, her family is still fighting for the one thing that means the most.
You still don't have Jamie's remains.
No.
What have you been told on that?
That's the best evidence they had to convicting him.
And that they need it through the whole case?
Yes.
I mean, that's not normal.
It doesn't feel normal.
Jamie's sons have asked their grandmother when they can have a funeral.
So how long is it gonna take? How long are they gonna hold on to Mom? She needs to be put to rest.
Just one day after our documentary aired on CBS 5, officials finally took the Yazzie family to show them the area where Jamie's body was found. It's something they had been asking for a year and a half. It's at least progress. Jamie's dad is holding on as long as he can, trying to make it to the final chapter in this horrible saga.
Now they're telling me my heart, my kidney, my liver, and my lungs are giving up. So, but I'm just hanging in there to seek justice for my daughter.
But you want to stay alive long enough to see justice.
Yeah. That's yes.
We thought interviews for this project would be divided into two lists: families of missing and murdered loved ones, and officials, attorneys, and lawmakers. And then something eye-opening happened the deeper we got into the investigation. We didn't expect those lists to combine over and over. Jennifer Germain, the former lawmaker who led that first study on MMIW in Arizona, was the first to reveal she has a family member among the forgotten.
This is an issue that affected my family. My great-grandfather was a missing person for 65 years. He survived the Eastern Front of World War I to come home and go missing from a New Deal work site in Yellowstone National Park.
And then Darlene Gomez, the attorney for many of these families.
One of my childhood friends, Melissa Montoya, went missing on St. Patrick's Day in 2001. And to this day, she's never been found. And only up to about 2.5 months ago was the FBI able to enter her picture in. So for 21 years, she remained faceless, a silhouette. And that's not justice for anyone.
Then the Navajo Nation police chief himself, Daryl Noon, visibly affected by what he was about to tell us.
I didn't really talk about this until recently, but my grandmother, her brother is missing. She's 95, going on 96 in March. She's gonna leave this place never knowing what happened. It's tough. I'm just watching her go through it.
We know you know who you're looking for. This is Elizabeth.
The reality is, this crisis isn't one that affects a few. It affects thousands, and likely people you know too. What these families saw in the media didn't reflect their own parallel situations. It's something Marilyn James, Jamie Yazzie's aunt, has thought about for years, but never wanted to believe.
This girl right here, this is what matters. That is it. Anything else It comes second to this.
Once Gabby went missing, Gabby Petito went missing, it really did open my eyes. Like, it is skin color. We're pushed aside because of our skin color. We're just, put last because of our skin color. Law enforcement came together to find her. They found her within a week, and they went from Florida to Utah, and I didn't hear anything about jurisdiction. I didn't hear anything about, oh no, we can't look through that. We can't go through all these states and, all this jurisdiction that we have to jump over. There was no excuses at that time. And there's all these law enforcement that came together to find her. Why not for Jamie?
This is something they are no longer willing to accept.
I think if we stop fighting,
I'm going to let them tell you a little bit about Jamie.
That's when
and this is my niece,
Jamie's just going to be another statistic, and that's not what I want. I want to make changes in her name. I want what happened to her to have a purpose.
That we are seeking justice for
We're not going to stay silent. We're just going to keep moving forward.
Now, they've found their voice. No longer will they be forgotten. Before this episode ends, I want to let you know where things stand with these cases, what's changed since we started going public with this investigation on TV and online. Edison Sorrel's case is still an open investigation with the FBI and remains unsolved. Jamie Yazzie's case is making its way through the court system, with Trey James expected to stand trial this year. While the Yazzie family has still not received Jamie's remains, less than 24 hours after our documentary aired, authorities did take the Yazzie family to where Jamie's remains were found, something they had asked for nearly 2 years. In early May, the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples Task Force met for the first time at the Arizona Capitol. 2 weeks later, the governor and leaders from all 22 tribes in Arizona had their first meeting to discuss broadband expansion in their communities. In the state budget, they agreed to $23 million to go to a rural broadband fund. And in June, the federal government announced $993 million, nearly $1 billion, will go to Arizona to deploy technology that will expand high-speed internet to millions across the state, including to our tribes. True Crime Arizona, the podcast, is hosted by me, Briana Whitney, and produced by Sergio Hernandez. It's a production of Arizona's Family, 3TV, CBS 5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.
This is True Crime Arizona, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.